know how difficult it is to conduct such program or to initiate such program because of financial issues, you know.
Yes, it's definitely could be a financial struggle, and also struggle to find staff. So a lot of times we have, like right now, we actually should have more staff than we actually do, just because the rural nature of our campus makes it sometimes hard to attract people. Because I mean, if you love to go hiking and you love nature, Espanola is beautiful. That's why I love it here. If you want to go out and have a nightlife, not so much.
I would love hiking.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy and Mark. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, yes, I have question. Hello.
Okay.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So, by the way, I'm Zomer. I'm from Thailand. Um, my question is in line with the question of ma'am. I forgot her name. So, but this is with regards to the inclusion education. So, I just would like to know if the program is included in the school or ministry or department curriculum, or just a special program of the school or added program of the school. Like anytime, if it's not effective, it will be terminated or somewhat like modified or look for another program instead of that program, existing program, because it's very important. As what mentioned earlier, say for example in the Philippines, I think because I was a public school teacher in the Philippines before, so if such program, if it will be implemented or in, say for example in the Philippines, it really needs financial needs more money to invest to that program. So if there is a like say for example assistance, or if it's a standard curriculum from the ministry or the department, it's much better compared to that if, say for example, it's only a program from the school.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I think if I'm understanding your question correctly. So in the United States, we have this educational law called the IDEA, or the IDEA Act, and it dates from the 1970s. And what it says is all students are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, which we often short to FAPE. And because of FAPE, special education is always integrated at any school you go to in the United States. If the school takes federal money, they have to offer special education. So yes, our program's actually very protected, as if we didn't provide these services, then we would be denying them a free and appropriate public education. And that could lead to possible legal consequences, all the way up to financial consequences for the district.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jomar, for the question. Do we have another question? So are we going to proceed to presenting another video?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to share to you another video from another teacher.
From the guidance.
It's from the guidance counselor, Ms. Martinez.
Hold on. My screen sharing.
It's starting. So our presenter will be Ms. Janine Martinez, counselor of Espanola Valley High School, Espanola, New Mexico, USA.
Hi, my name is Janine Martinez, and I'm the 11th grade counselor here at the high school. And I think inclusive education is extremely important for students so they can feel accepted and so they're not singled out. I really think it's important for the classroom as a whole to work with each other and be able to be diverse in learning and accepting others for who they are. And I think that all students learn at different ways. And I think with inclusion, having students with special needs, they're able to be who they are in a regular classroom setting without being looked down upon or feeling different or out of place. And I think that every child in an inclusive setting is able to reach their maximum potential in learning. And I also do think that the teacher is able to have high expectations for the class as a whole. And also students with disabilities can teach just because they have a learning disability or they're under the special ed umbrella. I think that they're able to teach one another, whether they're regular ed or special ed. And I think that it's a beautiful thing to have regular ed and special ed students in the same classroom. Thank you.
Okay, our next video is from Dr. Raymond Nani. He's a scientist and chemistry teacher in Espanola Valley High School.
Hello, my name is Raymond Annie. I'm a chemistry teacher here at Espanola Valley High School. The benefits of having an inclusion teacher in my classroom is that it really frees up my hands to work with the non-IEP students. So the inclusion teacher is able to work with, to focus her attention on the IEP students who need a lot of personal attention, one-on-one time, which of course is I really am not able to do that because I have 20 or so other students to work with, and they need some attention also, although not nearly as much as the special education students do. So from that respect, it's extremely advantageous to have an inclusion teacher in my classroom. I will say that the inclusion, the students tend to struggle with a great deal without the inclusion teacher there. Also, the inclusion teacher, which I greatly appreciate, she stays on the students to do their work. I notice when she is when unavailable to be there, those students will tend to slack off and not do their work and not submit their work. So I greatly appreciate that the inclusion teacher does stay on top of those students.
So we're going to finish our video presentation. So our next one is from Miss Marcela G. Lebrando. Abe?
It seems that we are having connection problem here. So for the videos, I can share the link and it's in my Google Drive, so you will be able to access them. I'll send the link in our Google Classroom. No, not Google Classroom, sorry. In our GC
Okay,
group
group
chat.
chat.
Yeah. So for now, we will be entertaining some other questions. If you have, we will be welcoming the questions.
Okay, we have 5 minutes more for the questions.
And can
minutes?
I request everyone to open your camera so for photo capturing, so we can take some photos. Please. Thank you. Guys, smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So let's go back to the
So-
questions. Who has
Okay,
questions?
questions. Do you have questions, guys? I cannot see in my end. Is there anyone? Oh, there is Dave. Okay, hi, Dave. Okay, unmute. Mhm.
Hello, anyone can hear me? Hello, good morning.
We can hear you,
Yes,
Dave.
we can hear you.
Okay, okay. So, although my question is very generic, but I need to tell it. So, since you include those students who who need special attention to the regular students, what are the most common problem you encountered from them? What I mean is between the regular or the general and the special student. Are those special students being bullied by the general or the regular student? Thank you.
Do you want to take this one, Rihanna, or should I?
I want to be
Anyone,
safe.
anyone.
Well, I would like Jeremy to answer, then I will add if I can add some more.
And I'm going to be honest with you, it depends on the student. Have I seen bullying? Yes, I have. And when I do, I, do my best to put a stop to it. I have one student who he has a very bad stutter. And so sometimes some students have gotten on him about that. And I was very disappointed to see that. And so that's when you take those students aside, because just yelling at them isn't going to change how they see things. So you try to take them aside and explain to them like, hey, how would you feel if like you're just trying to talk? And imagine if you couldn't do that. And this is how you're going to treat him and make his day worse. And so a lot of times students, they have a lot of empathy if you give them a chance, and some don't. So like I said, like it's a mixed bag. It kind of depends on the student and the situation, but I would be lying if I said I never saw bullying. And Miss
And in
Alimanco, I
addition
know
to that,
you're in the class a lot as
Dave,
well.
I'm sorry. And in addition to Jeremy's comments, we don't identify students as a SPED student in the regular ed classroom. So it's very private. We don't talk about it. They know that they're in a SPED program, so they will be pulled out privately, or, it's up to them if they want to tell that they're a SPED student or not. As case managers, we consider it highly confidential. For bullying, all students, whether special ed or regular ed, if they're going to suffer such or encounter such an incident, they can always tell the teachers, and teachers report to the counselors and principals, and they are dealt accordingly. Is that okay, Dave?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that would be
Thanks, Dave.
I think Jomer is raising his
universal
hand.
question.
Okay.
Okay, good morning once again. Good evening there. I just would like to know if how many learners you have to handle or take care as inclusion teacher.
So Rihanna, how many are on your caseload for IEP management right now? Because I know the number fluctuates.
Right now, I have 27. So
Okay.
normally we used to have 20 or 21. Last year, I had 18 students. Those are gifted. And this year, my first semester, I was given 39 students. And then we have new teachers coming in, special teachers. So we're cut down like 27 or 28. Or
Okay, Jason, can you mute? I think we're getting some feedback with you and Rihanna being in the same room. But so that's what Rihanna has to case manage. And then as far as total special education students in the school who will need inclusion support, we have, at my last count, about 130 students at the high school that receive special education services, not counting the gifted students, which would bring the number up to about 150 some.
and we're only
Out of a total
counting
population of
for the
900.
high school. So we are 9th grader to 12th grader. The other schools, we don't know their numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I actually know the middle school numbers because they're my students too.
Oh,
Down there. So our 7th and 8th grade population, we have 35 7th graders and 33 8th graders, because I provide services down to the middle school as well. I'm a district-wide employee, as opposed to Rihanna, who's just one school site.
Jeremy knows that, but I don't. Okay.
Excuse me.
Teachers, do you have any other questions?
Excuse me.
Okay,
Excuse me.
think Mr.
Excuse me.
Bernardino Atienza is having hard time raising his hand, but he messaged me. He has a question
Okay.
to raise. Mr. Bernardino.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, good night. And this is my question for Jeremy, Mr. Jeremy. So, Mr., what is the most challenging, what is the most challenging or difficult case of learning disability to handle?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. So it kind of depends on where you're talking about challenge. So in the United States, our most what you would consider profound disability would be probably intellectually disabled, meaning you have normative IQ scores below 70 kind of across the board, and low adaptive scores. And those so for example, when I first started working in special education, I worked one-on-one with a student who was on the autism spectrum and also was intellectually disabled. And so he was 16 years old, but he could not change himself. I would change him. I would feed him. I would do all his personal care. I was teaching him how to talk. And so that's the kind of care he needed. And that was very challenging in a lot of ways. But then also what I have found to be very challenging but that could be bipolar, it could be depressive, it could be schizophrenic, it could be lots of different emotional and mental disorders. And those students, they can be very hard to work with because they're doing so well and you're providing all these supports, and it takes a lot of social emotional support. And then like their mental health, which is out of their control, oftentimes starts spiraling. And it's just very hard to get them back on track and to assist them. And then later on in life, when they leave the schools, it can be hard for them if they're not able to, like, let's say, find a good job and have insurance in the United States. You know, we are a for-profit medical system. So a lot of those students can struggle transitioning to adulthood as well because of that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Bernie? Thank you, Mr. Jeremy.
Do we have other questions?
Some other questions?
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, haven't you reached an alarming statistics regarding the negative implications of inclusive education for you to consider to stop the program?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't quite catch the first part of your question.
Um, have you reached an alarming statistics regarding the negative implications of inclusive education, just like what Mr. Dave has mentioned about bullying and such, for you to consider to stop the program?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I said, there is some bullying. Like I wouldn't say it would be enough for me to want to stop it. And we've seen a lot of success as well. So a few years ago, actually, we weren't inclusion first. We were what was called resource first, where we would put them in a separate resource class a lot of the day. And the difference in the students now to then that I've seen, just even in just social skills, because if you're not around normally developing peers, you don't develop those social skills. And so I would say the positives I've seen have definitely outweighed the negatives. But as we've only done this for a few years now, I mean, time will tell. But just the United States as a whole has been moving more towards inclusion from resource for a while now. And for the most part, we've seen positives. Like, are there negative cases? Of course, with any kind of outcome, there's going to be negatives, but I think the positives way outweigh the negatives. And I know I wouldn't recommend our district to stop, at least at this time.
Okay, with positives winning, I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Okay, and I see Mildred has her hand up, it looks like.
Miss Mildred Orlina is raising her hand.
Okay. One last question. Okay.
Good evening. I don't know what time is
It's okay, ma'am. We're good evening here.
Okay. It's not a sort of question, but rather I would like to have you a view of our inclusive education here in the Philippines. Somehow, I don't know in other places, but here in Batangas, and since it is implemented by DepEd Philippines, but to be honest with you, we only have our SPED in the elementary. This is a sort of a new venture for our high school students, those who have the difficulties or difficulties in reading and writing, for example, or those who have mental issues. This is quite new to us since the Philippine culture is very not receptive about that because they tend to hide the people with this abnormality. I don't know. It's not a sort of abnormality. It's a sort of different, what do you call that? With mental issues nga. Therefore, they sort of, some families hide these cases at home. And now that Philippines is trying to expose them in and give them better education, this is very, very new to us, and how to handle our students with special needs. So what you have given us today really will help us out, but somehow quite confused with the financial support, say the DSWD. It can be provided, but the special doctors tend to focus their attention on the private consultation rather than helping us out with this. So we are very thankful to you. I said to Sir Jason for including me here in the group, and somehow it opens my mind to a lot of things, that it is not only here in the Philippines that it is done, but rather it is done before by other countries, especially the US. Somehow treating these people, how to treat them and how to expose them and give them the proper education that they need also is somehow very helpful with their growth and development. So I thank you guys for this. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
sharing.
Thank you, Ma'am
Ms.
Mildred.
Mildred.
Mhm.
Okay, at this time, we will have our closing remarks from Ms. Joy Nokia.
Hello, good day, everyone. Hello, Jeremy, I'm here. Hear me?
There you go.
So
That's why. So it's really my pleasure to be, be part of this because it's still my third month here in the USA. Actually, I'm also one of the case managers in Española Valley High School. So while listening to those sharings and insights from our adapted speakers, like you participants, I also gain a lot, especially from our transition specialist, Mr. Jeremy Privet, and the other speakers. And again, thank you for your excellent interaction. So I guess that would be all for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate your sharing your time with us for this mini webinar. Thank you very much to Mr. Jeremy Pruitt
Thank you, sir.
for
Thank you,
sharing your
guys. Thank you,
expertise
Sir
on the
Chief.
field
Thank
of
you.
inclusive education.
And also
Very
thank you to our
much.
teacher sharers from Huake.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for our
We enjoyed this mini
video
webinar. Thank you, guys.
And thank you from the teachers in Thailand. Sawadika, kokun ka.
Sawadee kopon ka, kopon na ka. Thank you, kap.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
God bless everyone. Ay, thank you. Nandiyan pa sila. Thank you, thank you. Nandiyan pa sila.
Ay, i-off mo na yan. Meron na tayong reporting.
dito.
Thank you.
Picture.
Oh, yung nga pa.
Ay, oh, picture. Ay, Rihanna, picture bago mag-end. Dito. Joy.
Oy, we need this for
1, 2.
Facebook. Sandali.
Bilis.
Picture mo kami sa Facebook.
Matapos na.
Picturein niya ka tayo sa
1,
Facebook.
2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Yay. O, diba?
Halata bang nasunugan ako ng niluluto ko?